Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Sean Black, aka DFS 5050. I want to thank everyone for checking out my Instagram page, which is Instagram.com at DFS 5050. Thank y'all very much as well for tuning in to DFS Portfolio on Facebook. You know, if you can't catch me on Instagram, you can catch me there. I usually post my wins and losses. Yesterday, I had high expectations for the lineups that I had, and what I did, I wanted to do multiple lineups on DraftKings specifically, and I decided to just do like 100 lineups, and I put them in the quarter arcade. At one point in time, I was up maybe $100 on $25, and then at the end of the night, by the time everything was done, I only ended up taking home about, let's see, maybe 20 to 30% of what I have invested, which, that happens in DFS. There's days where you're really, really hot, and there's days where, you barely make it, and there's days where you lose a lot of money, or there's days where you lose some. The only difference with this situation, though, was I had, decent bankroll management. I only really used about 7 to 8% of my bankroll. So even though it was disappointing and I had better expectations of the players that I had, I did use some sound money management in that. And then also when I look back at some of the lineups that I had too much of some sorry ass players. Shout out to Dellavedova. Sorry you didn't play all that good last night, man. You hurt my lineups. I was expecting a little bit more production out of him, considering the obvious somewhat almost blowout to in that situation. But anyway, moving along, what I wanted to do first is just show you guys what the optimizer has generated. And for those that don't know, I'm using Daily Fantasy Nerds lineup optimizer for this builder show. And right now, this is the basic lineup that they have for today. This is a lineup that has not been touched by projections, by weights, by likes, dislikes, X's and O's, none of that. This is just straight up their projection, their basic projection on who's going to do what tonight. So, of course, everybody knows with Tim Frazier, he didn't really have a good game against Memphis, but I think people fail to miss out the fact that Memphis is a really good defensive team, and he only had 7.2 fantasy points. He wasn't really able to get off. And you got to look at this, guys. Denver, their offense is not necessarily all that. Golden State, their offense against point guards is not all that. San Antonio's defense against point guard is, basically above average. Milwaukee's defense towards point guards is not necessarily all that as well. Okay, so just be mindful of that. Memphis. Any team that has a strong defensive stat against point guards, do not throw Tim Frazier in there because he's not going to perform well. And then I think also the reason why he didn't do so well was he was on a back-to-back as well. So you also want to factor in the rest. But Tim Frazier is definitely a good look for tonight. So for the sake of this video, I will like him. Mike Conley. Honestly, guys, I'm not really necessarily too hot on Mike Conley. Conley, I don't think he's under minutes restriction anymore. But we'll see how that one pans out. 1 second here. Let's see something. Okay, that's not what I wanted. Okay. Mike Conley, as you see, he can play. It's just for the price. I'm not necessarily too hot on him, but he is playing against Los Angeles Clippers. So, and he's playing them at home, at their home turf. So I don't know how this one's going to turn out. They're saying that his fantasy points per minute is pretty much at 1. So for every minute that he's playing, he can produce, a fantasy point, which would put him at around 32 8.1 fantasy points. Again, I'm not necessarily too hot about that because for the price that he's at right now, he could probably be doing a lot more than what he's doing. Manu Ginobili. Manu is one of those players that if he's playing tonight, I will lock him in. I will lock him in simply because he's going to get the minutes. As long as Danny Green is out, Manu's going to get the minutes. And Manu is a point per dollar type of person. So you can almost be certain that on any given night, he's going to give you, on average at least, he's going to give you his best, and he's going to at least give you anywhere between 15 to 20 fantasy points. Now, of course, these last two games, that might have been a different situation, but overall, if you look at the average, you'll be sure to see more out of him, especially with him playing at Utah, I believe. Yep, yeah, they're playing at Utah. Yep. So he does better away than he does at home for some reason. But with Mike Conley, I believe they're playing at home, and I didn't see that. And with them playing at home, if we look at this correctly, he has this type of upside. He has a 40.3 fantasy point upside at home, but his floor is 23.7, right? So, but his average is 31.2. So, you can gauge it from there. You can see exactly what you think about that. But that's Mike Conley for you, okay? Klay Thompson, he had a good game. Prior to that, he was, trying to, find himself or find Jesus or whatever he was trying to do. Tonight, he's going against Los Angeles Lakers. He should have a fairly decent game tonight. He should reach value, and maybe potentially exceed value. The shooting guards for the Los Angeles Lakers, of course, they have a new coach, and they're transitioning from a different type of offense, and they're trying to get back to their dominance that they used to have back in the early 2000s. But in any case, Klay Thompson, he seems to be a solid play, and he's definitely a good look. Harrison Barnes, one of my favorite players in the NBA right now, and I'm glad that he's actually getting some kind of shine, and he doesn't have to sit under the limelight of the Clays and the Currys and the Greens. The past two games, he didn't really do all that well, but the thing that y'all really want to consider and factor in is that, one, he's getting the minutes. Look at these minutes, guys. 34, 38, 38, 35. Okay? And also, if I'm not mistaken, he's going against Portland, which is a fairly they're not necessarily a defensive team, but they are a fast tempo team. And of course, everybody knows that Harrison Barnes started at Golden State, so he knows all about fast pace. So he knows how to keep the pace with this game. So in a situation like this, I probably will go maybe Harrison Barnes and Wesley Matthews. And then also that's another good scenario to pop out, because remember, Wesley Matthews was balling hard at Portland and he got traded. So it could be a revenge game narrative in there or something like that. But I would look for this situation to be a game where it's going to be fast tempo. The over-under is going to be pretty up there. Let's see. It's going to be 206, which is like, what, the fourth best, highest over-under. And it's supposed to be a close game, Portland by 1.5. So when you look at that, that might, he's definitely in a solid position and everything. Hold on one second, guys. Hold on. Hey, Damon, I'm doing a video. Let me call you right back, sir. Okay. So, sorry about that, guys. That's one of my guys. He does, he's also in the DFS world, and we're working on a couple of products together. So I just have to give him the little sweet real quick. But anyway, Harrison Barnes, definitely a good look. For the price, you're definitely going to see he's going to meet value tonight, because It's a high over-under game. And then if you look at the other games that he played against Utah, and Utah is a strong defensive team, and he played against Houston. And I guess that day maybe I forget the small forward that plays for Houston, but maybe they decided to just play defense that day or something like that, or maybe he wasn't feeling it or whatever. So it is what it is. This is going to be a good matchup for him. I feel strongly about it. I'm going to like him. And the price is good, too. He's dirt cheap. If you remember last year, at one point in time, he was like 6,500 on Fanduel. And so anyway, that's that. Kevin Durant. Okay. Kevin Durant is basically matchup proof, right? So in a situation like this, he's on a back-to-back. He's playing against the Lakers. Do we really want to use Kevin Durant? And the answer would be, yeah, use Kevin Durant. You know, Durant, he has a good, solid floor, and he also has a solid upside too. So his floor is 35, let's say 35. And his ceiling right now is 65, right? And also, you got to think, he's only 9,900. If he keeps playing the way he's playing, he's going to be up there with Westbrook. So you want to get him while he's cheap. So I will get him. Okay. There's really not much I have to say about Kevin Durant. Hold on a second. Anthony Davis. Don't have to say too much about that one. He's going against a team that does allow a lot of points to the power forward position. He is in the favorable matchup. The DVP says -1, which is it's like slightly below average, but for the most part, Anthony Davis is matchup proof. Between him and Frazier, they're mainly the two people that's going to see the ball for the majority of the game. And you also got to consider too that he's getting the minutes. He's getting 38 minutes a game. And for the type of production that he produces, I mean, it's very well worth it. Just keep him in there no matter what. Okay. As a matter of fact, for the sake of this video, we're just going to lock Durant and we're going to lock Davis. Okay. I don't know what's going on there. All right, Larry Nance. I like Larry Nance. I think Larry Nance is a decent play. I know he's, due to the fact that he's been balling out the last 2 games, I'm pretty sure everybody's going to be, taking a decent look at him. And he's 3,900, so he's easily, fittable to any roster that you can set up. And you got to think, okay, well, if the Golden State Warriors happen to blow them out, he's probably going to end up being on the floor a lot. Or if they can keep the game close, he's going to be in the game a lot. He is able to, block shots. He is able to get rebounds, and he is able to score. And, of course, that's the main reason why he's over at the Lakers right now. That's why they picked him in the draft. So it's all about opportunities. It seems like he tends to do better against defensive-minded teams for the most part. If you look, Atlanta plays a lot of defense. Indiana plays some good defense as well. And the pace is up. Seems like when the pace is down, he doesn't perform well. So look, perfect example. The first game against Houston, 18 points, right? He was, at that time, I think he was 3,900. Okay. So Utah, defense. OKC, defense. Indiana, defense. However, when you look outside of the defense, you got to look at the pace of the game. And the higher the pace of the game, the more opportunities Larry Nance is going to have. So for that reason, Larry Nance is definitely a good look to look at. Hassan Whiteside, I'm not sure about Hassan Whiteside, to be honest with you. The issue with Hassan is foul trouble. He gets into foul trouble so early in the game because he's trying too hard. He's trying to, he's trying to meet the expectations of his salary that he's making because he got that big check. And so with that, you know, if he can manage to just calm the fuck down, excuse my language for anybody that doesn't cuss, but if he can manage to calm the fuck down, I think that he can really see beyond 43.3 fantasy points tonight against Toronto. Valanciunas is not a threat whatsoever. He's crafty, but he's not one of those guys that plays a lot of defense. I mean, honestly, I really don't think he plays a defense at all. But in any case, those are, you know, that's basically the basic lineup. All right, so that's the rundown of the basics. Let's get down, let's dig deep, and let's see what we can find to see if we can get something a little bit better. For the sake of this video, please don't focus on the 314 fantasy points, because it's like you can plan for a high fantasy point type game, but if your players don't produce, then you know your hope might be deferred, right? So let's get a more balanced score from a balanced team. All right. So we're going to point guards. We're looking at some positions right now. We're looking at usage rates. We're looking at the player efficiency rating. And right now, as you can see, Steph Curry is in a good position against the Lakers. And, you know, even though he's coming off of a back-to-back, he was involved in the offense, but he didn't have to do a lot of work. So this might be one of those days where the offense might be traded off in his favor. You never know, right? So, you know, in a situation like that, you can look at his scoring fantasy-wise. As you can see, he's been cold, and that's based on pricing. But the thing is, this is one of the very few moments where you can actually catch Steph Curry at 8,800. The majority share of the production is going toward Durant. That's why, you know, his production has calmed down. But, you know, he's definitely somebody to look at. The points scored in the game is going to be very high. The usage is good. The usage matches the player efficiency, which is always good. The pace of the opponent is down, but their pace is always going to be up no matter what. Okay. The DVP it works in his favor. Dorian Russell and Jordan Clarkson and Lou Williams and all those guys, they don't really play defense like that. They do have their moments, but that's not necessarily something that they really are on. Again, remember, guys, we want to focus on people too that are playing defense. I mean, not playing defense, but are getting the minutes. So there's a lot to be desired and a lot to look at in this situation. So I'm looking at minutes right now, and Damian Lillard, he's a good look. He can score. Dallas, their point guards don't really defend that well. They are about to hustle. Lillard's usage is there. The player efficiency rating is there as well. The DVP is at 0. So it's, you know, he's dealing with an average defensive team. You know, so, and the minutes are there too. He's playing 36 minutes. He's averaging 36 minutes a game. And he's averaging about 40.9 fantasy points, and he's at 9,600. All right. So in a situation like that, I think the person I would want to target more would be John Wall. And the reason I would say John Wall is because John Wall is playing at home. His home away splits is always different. And let's look at it here. Second, computer is running a little slow, so y'all have to forgive me. Let's see here. So anytime he's away, he doesn't perform out that well. But when he's at home, you know, he'll give you that fantasy upside, you know, of 50 and some change. Okay. And so you should, if anything, we shouldn't see anything less than 45 but we should see more than 50, right? So I like John Wall. I'm plugging him in. I'm going to like him. I'm not going to lock him. I'm going to like him. All right. Let's see. Some notable mentions in this mix. If we're looking at just usage rate alone, you can look at, let's see here. You can look at Lillard, Paul. Paul is actually in a really good position right now, considering that he's playing at home. And last time Paul played at home, he put up a 48.7 fantasy point performance. And the floor on Paul is 31. So that's what you can gauge on that one. So, Paul is a good look. And for 9,000, if you don't want to use Wall, you can use Paul. Okay. Schroeder, last time he played Washington, he didn't necessarily perform all that well, even though they won that game for his price. And let's see. But the thing about with Schroeder is that his price has dropped. So that can give you room for him to do what he needs to do. Now, please be mindful. John Wall does play defense. So unless you really need to, you can maybe throw Schroeder in on some GPP lineups. I don't think Schroeder will be good for cash. Most of the players that I've mentioned to you are good for cash and GPP. But for Schroeder, I would say that he's more GPP than anything else. Eric Bledsoe is someone that y'all can look at as well. His usage is really high as well, along with his player efficiency rating. And the pace is there. The defensive efficiency is there. The defense is allowing 107 points to the opposing team. So there is a lot of opportunity there for Eric Bledsoe. And for his price, he has 34.7 fantasy points that can easily be upgraded into something bigger. At home, he's been doing pretty decent at home. So, he's definitely a solid floor. He has a solid floor and a solid ceiling. Now he has the potential to really go up there in the ceiling. He can get up to, 60 fantasy points. And, you got to think New Orleans does give up a lot of points to point guards, shooting guards, small forwards, power forwards, center. So there's another player in that mix that I like, and I will get to him as we follow along with this show. All right, so I'm liking him, okay? And I'm sorry, excuse me, let me get some more water. The thing about it is, too, guys, if you're just a brand new person and you just want to DFS at least, and you just really want to follow the signs, look at the players that have bright orange, tabs and colors and everything like that, right? Like, for example, we have Curry, all right? We have Bledsoe, and then also, in this type of thing, you want to use common sense because you don't want to pick players that, are going to not perform. For example, Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry is a beast at home, all right, or he's supposed to be, okay? But when he's not at home, he doesn't produce, right? And he's a very sensitive player to deal with in the fantasy world. So, and Miami's a defensive threat. I don't care what anybody say. Miami, they base everything on defense first. And from there, they create the transitions, and then they're able to do what they do. So in this situation, I would not recommend Kyle Lowry for anyone. Now, would that come and bite me in my butt? Hey, I don't care. I don't like Kyle Lowry for DFS. As a player, he's awesome. But for fantasy, no good. If you really want to throw Kyle Lowry in, for those who play DraftKings, throw him in a quarter arcade GPP only. Don't put him in your cash games. He's not good for cash at all. Another thing, D'Angelo Russell. Golden State, as much as they play defense, they do allow a lot of points to the opposing team. They do allow at least 100 points, which is kind of crazy. and the pace is going to be 102 possessions per game for this particular game. So even the defense, the defensive stat again for Golden State is going to be in D'Angelo Russell's favor, and also too he is getting decent amount of minutes. If they can keep this game close, I think D'Angelo Russell might be in a good position to do some damage, especially if they can keep it close. And then with Luke Walton being the coach and having the experiences of Phil Jackson and Steve Kerr, you might be up to something with that one. So he's definitely, to me personally, a sneaky play. We've already talked about Tim Frazier, and sometimes you just got to go down the barrel to see who's who, see who's in a good position. The cool thing about the Daily Fantasy Nerd is that you can click on any tab and it will show you who's who in the mix. Sorry, y'all. Give me 1 second. For some reason, my thing is acting real slow. Let me refresh this page real quick. So as that refreshing, there's a couple of players that I have in mind for you guys. TJ Warren is one, Paul Millsap is two, Marcin Gortat and Anthony Davis. I think we've already talked about Anthony Davis, but we haven't talked about Warren, Millsap, and Gortat yet. So we're going to definitely get to them in a second. Let's see here. I may have too many windows open. That's probably why my thing is running a little slow. Okay. All right. So that was point guards. I know I spent a lot of time on the point guards. The reason I'm spending a lot of time on the point guards is because shooting guards is a very weak position tonight. And so I'm just going to get to the nitty-gritty of it. From what I'm seeing right now, I would say Klay Thompson, Nicholas Batum, they're in some really good positions. Okay. And yeah, so those are the two guys that I like. Klay Thompson and Nicholas Batum. I think you'll benefit greatly from them tonight. So I'm liking those guys. Let's see what the defensive position says. Okay. Ian Clark, he could be a good pump play if they happen to blow out the Lakers. If they blow out the Lakers, which I'm pretty sure everybody's predicting that they will, he will have some opportunity to perform and score. And if that's the case, then he has a floor of 11 fantasy points and a ceiling of 30 as of right now. He could be a boom or bust player for you. I would just put him in the GPP. He's not cash viable. All right. So from the defensive position standpoint, Nicholas Batum and Klay Thompson stand true and they hold weight. Okay. And of course, the opponent defensive efficiency is at an all-time high, so they have opportunities to really get to the business. Okay. Usage-wise, who has the highest usage rate? Dwayne Wade has the high. Nope, sorry. Dwayne Wade and DeMar DeRozan have a high usage rate. Unfortunately, with those guys, DeRozan is score dependent. Dwayne Wade, he's solid. He can get you those peripheral stats that you need outside of scoring. And his price is good too. Price is very, very affordable. So off of the usage rate and the efficiency and the DVP and the defensive efficiency, he's definitely going to be somebody that you can target. Now, the pace is not necessarily there for the opponent, but the opponent only has 96 possessions. So that's them. But he's definitely somebody that I like, especially for tonight. So Klay Thompson, Nicholas Batum, and Dwayne Wade. Now, you know what? CJ McCollum might be able to ball out against Dallas. He is there. You know, he does have that. But for the price, I'd rather go with the other three guys that I have here. I think for the price, they'll be able to reach value and exceed it. And with CJ, you know, Wesley Matthews, you know, he knows how to play defense. He's actually one of my favorite players. So that's an emotional pick right there that I'm telling you all about. Wesley Matthews. Let's see. You know, and he's basically, for me, he'll be more of a GPP play more so than a cash game play. So I'm going to just pick him, and he's cheap too. So, you know, we'll see what goes on with that. Oh, sorry about that. All right, small forward. We've already locked Durant in, but I remember guys, I told you all about T.J. Warren. Sorry about that. I told you guys about T.J. Warren, and where is he? There he is. He's in a good position against New Orleans. He's getting the minutes, and his upside is definitely there. For the past couple of games, his floor is at 24. His ceiling is at 43. All right, and his seasonal average is 34. Okay, so he is able to get you what you need, and for 5,900, he's definitely worth a play. Of course, like I said, I have Kevin Durant locked in. Carmelo Anthony, excuse me. I like Carmelo, but he really hasn't seen value. He hasn't reached value. And he's coming against a team that plays a lot of defense, even though the DVP says, oh, he's in a favorable matchup, and he has the usage rate. I mean, you know, he's going against Jimmy Butler. If he's not going against Jimmy Butler, he's going against Dwayne Wade. So I'm not too sure about him. Jimmy Butler, he really hasn't seen value much, guys. I'm not really too hot on Jimmy. I'd rather pay up for Durant, who has seen value in, 4 out of the last 5 games he's played. So that's something to look at, something to consider. Kent Bazemore, not necessarily in a good position. I would probably pivot off to Cephalosha. But if we were to look for value, we definitely want to, just kind of play around and see who we have. Oh, Lance Stevenson. He's a boomer bust play for me. And he's playing against Phoenix. So, and I think Dante Cunningham is back. So, I don't know. I wouldn't, necessarily trust him too much. But as you can see, there's really not a lot to look at. So what I refer to, usually when I don't see anything, if everything's in the blue, I'm going to look at the defense versus position. We could try Andre Iguodala, but he's been kind of cold too. Let's see, Dante Cunningham. He didn't play any, but he was in there. Tucker, Derrick Jones, Mike Scott, Gilchrist. Gilchrist might be a sneaky play. Matter of fact, you know what? We're gonna put Gilchrist in 5,600. He could probably get us about anywhere between 25 to 30 fantasy points. He's facing a Brooklyn team that is weak against small forwards. I have yet to see any type of light coming out of Bogdanovich. So yeah, that's definitely that with that. Another person I might want to consider on the point guard position might be Jeremy Lin, but that's just, if you want to, throw him in there. He's getting a Matter of fact, let's go to that point guard position real quick. And again, guys, this is just basically what I do. I just basically kind of go through the players, and I see exactly which players are speaking numbers to me and which ones are not. Let's see here. And Jeremy Lin is out, so that's why he wasn't showing up on the list. Otherwise, he would have been a good look. So whoever Brooklyn's point guard is, let me single that person out real quick. Who is their backup? No, that's not what I wanted. Oh, wow. Isaiah Whitehead. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what the news says later on. Of course, I'm doing this early. It's 1:27. So keep an eye out on him. I'm not gonna like him, but just keep an eye out. Keep an eye out for him on that situation. Let's move on to the power forward position. Of course, we got Anthony Davis locked in. Blake Griffin going against Memphis. He's in a favorable matchup. J. Michael Green is not all that. Zach Randolph is old, even though he's one of my favorite players. And his price is up there too. He is a double-double monster. Let's see, has he reached value? He seems to have reached value in one game. Whenever a player is at 8,900, you want 5 points per 1,000. So in this situation with him, what we need out of him is roughly, let's see, sorry, pulling out my calculator here, times 8.9. Yeah, so we need 44.5 fantasy points out of him. Will he get that with them? Not sure. Is the over-under in his favor for this game? Let's find out. It's a low scoring game, 197 over-under. That means there's going to be a lot of defense being played on both sides, but the Clippers should be able to inch away. Paul Millsap, they're under the fourth highest over-under of the night. So I told y'all about Millsap. I like Millsap. I'm playing Millsap. Draymond Green. I like Draymond Green. I like Draymond Green because he's always going to be in the paint, always. If he's not in the paint, he's trying to facilitate an assist. If he's not facilitating an assist, he's scoring. But again, the main thing with Draymond is he's going to be playing a lot of defense more than anything else. And those stats add up very quickly, especially if people are not hitting their shots. He's definitely somebody that I want on my team. I'm completely fading LaMarcus Aldridge. Porzingis, GPP only. Dirk Nowitzki, GPP only. Julius Randle. Julius been playing. He hasn't really been getting the minutes, but he's been playing. So that's somebody to consider considering the blowout. Marvin Williams is in a good position. He can reach value. He hasn't reached value, but he can. He's based on the DVP, he's in a good matchup. The defensive efficiency, they are allowing 109 points to the opposing team. So this could be a good evening for him as far as being able to exceed value. And he's also cheap. So, that's somebody you can just throw in. Let's see. I like Taj Gibson. I like Markieff Morris. Markieff Morris, home away splits is pretty interesting. He can play. I don't know. I think with him, it's all about him getting the minutes and him watching his mouth, because he's that type of person. He can talk himself out of the game. And for that reason, you know, gotta like him. I don't want to say he's a boomer bust play, because he is consistent when he is on the floor. My problem is he has this Boogie Cousins type of complex where he feels like he has to argue every possession, especially if it doesn't work in his favor. Larry Nance, if you go off a recency bias, you know, you can say, okay, well, we can play him. We can not play him. He's cheap. He can't give us the production. You know, we already talked about Larry Nance. So that's that. Okay. So that's that for the power forward position. Now for the center position, last but not least, especially on FanDuel. And some of these plays that I mentioned to you guys are also good for DraftKings. I know I said in the lineup builder, I said DraftKings and FanDuel. So, you know, please be mindful. The pricing might be a little bit different, but the value is still there nonetheless. Okay. What I want to look at is defense versus position first. Spencer Hawes. Pachulia. Yeah, I don't like none of these guys off of defense versus position. Andrew Bogut. Nah. Let's see. Who else we got here? Tyson Chandler. 2 for 5 on meeting value. Alex Lynn. He might be a good look. You know, someone we can pivot off to. So yeah, you can check out Alex Lynn on that one. Herman Gomez. Oh yeah, I think he's a rookie. Let's see, have we get anything? So usually what I like to do, I like to try to find now that we've liked a whole lot of players, I'm also trying to find value plays. We talk about Marcin Gortat. Let's see his home away splits here. Home 35, away 24. He's gonna log in a lot of minutes too, so we can like him. Mason Plumlee. That's what he did last time. For his price, he can meet value at his price, 5,000. Again, playing against Dallas. Bogut, I like him. All right, so let's see who's going to be scoring the most points tonight. So Hassan Whiteside is at the top of the list. Unfortunately, with Whiteside, he does seem to get in foul trouble, and when he gets in foul trouble, he gets benched. There's no production, and yeah, I don't know. I want to fade him, especially with it being a low total. I mean, of course, there's opportunity to grab rebounds and all that stuff like that. And if Miami wants to turn it on, they can easily turn it on and make it happen. I actually like Dwight Howard a lot better tonight. Dwight Howard and Gortat. Even though Dwight Howard's matchup it looks like it's not in his favor, he's going to get the ball. He's going to see the ball a lot. They're really focusing their offense around Howard and Paul Millsap. So I like him. Let's see, another person that I like, Rudy. Let's see, what did he do against San Antonio? He didn't do much against them. So again, this is what I'm looking at, guys. I'm looking at all these different things. One second here. Oops, sorry. All right, so with that being said, these are the people that I like. And hopefully I was helpful in telling you guys who's who. Now we're going to build the lineup. See what it says. And again, guys, for those that haven't signed up to Daily Fantasy Nerd, I really highly recommend this. This particular platform is very affordable. You actually learn, you learn how to really, once you really learn how to read the charts and everything like that on here, you can really start to see why people pick what they pick and stuff like that. You look at the value, you look at the player efficiency, you look at the usage, you look at the points scored, you look at the pace. All these different things factor into creating a lineup. Okay, so what I have here is Tim Frazier, Eric Bledsoe, Wesley Matthews, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, Harrison Barnes, Davis, Nance, and Gortat. That's actually a pretty good lineup. And so we can start scrolling down to see what other lineups we have. We have Frazier, Bledsoe, Thompson, Dwayne Wade, Durant, Harrison Barnes, Davis, Nance, Joakim Noah. We have Joakim Noah again, but this time around we have Frazier, Wall, Matthews, Thompson, Durant, Barnes, Davis, Nance, Noah. You see? So the beautiful thing about Daily Fantasy Nerd that I like, and these are some plays that I'm definitely going to consider tonight. I might not play the full 50 lineups, but I might play maybe 5 or 10 of these lineups. So I'm just going to filter and sift through some of these lines to see who's who. But the beautiful thing about Fantasy Nerd is that if I have a thought process about a particular player, right? Let's say, for instance, Hassan Whiteside goes for 60 points, 60 fantasy points, right? There's a possibility. You can inflate the number if you want to, right? And then you can go back in and build the lineup again. And he would actually, they might actually find a way to fit him in to the lineup, considering that he's going to score you 60 fantasy points, give or take, right? We already had Dwight Howard in there, but, we can see exactly what would happen. That's just something that, consider. Okay. So here. So, but anyway, so we have that. If you see a player in there that you don't like, you can always exit out that player and just kind of keep scrolling, and it's gonna, you can see who's who in the mix. Okay, so I just got news from Roto Grinders. Dante Cunningham is suspended for 1 game. They didn't really say why, but if that's the case, then there's some value that goes into Solomon Hill. So okay, so based on what Roto Grinders are saying is that they're saying that Lance Stevenson and Terrence Jones might be the beneficiaries of Dante Cunningham's 1 game suspension, which I feel is very true. But if you want to pivot off of those 2 guys, I would say Solomon Hill. He's definitely somebody that you can put in. He's very cheap. So that's just something to consider, for everybody that's listening. And mind you, this is what you have to do. You have to kind of stay on the news. That's one thing about playing daily fantasy sports, especially with NBA. You got to stay on the news, and you got to stay on who has the better matchup. Okay, so those are the players. Those are the players that we have. So this is the main lineup right here: Tim Frazier, Eric Bledsoe, Wesley Matthews, Klay Thompson, Durant, Barnes, Davis, Nance, and Gortat. That's definitely something that you can work off of. Now, if you wanted to, let's say, for instance, get away from Durant, right? we can unlock him, and we can run the optimizer again to see if we get something better. Sorry guys, my computer is running a little bit slow. Like I said, I have a lot of windows open. For those that don't know, I do music, so I have some music programs running in the background as well. But okay, so okay, I did not like Joakim Noah. Why did it say that? Okay, let's move that out of the way. I don't think I did. I don't like Joakim Noah. All right, so we have Frazier, Wall, Matthews, Thompson, Barnes, Warren, Davis, Millsap, Noah. See, I'm trying to get Noah out of the mix. Trying to figure out where did I like him. Oh, I did like him. I'm tripping. I mean, you know, revenge game narrative, all that good stuff. Got traded, didn't like the coach didn't like him, blah, blah, blah. I mean, you know, it is what it is. All right, let's try this again. Okay. How about this? I don't want Noah right now. Yeah, I don't know. My lineup. All right. So what we have now is Frazier, Batum. I'm sorry, Frazier, Wall, Batum, Barnes, Gilchrist, Davis, Williams, Gortat. Okay. Now, if you're going to play Anthony Davis, play Frazier. Okay. Batum and Gilchrist, that's a good pairing. Let's see, Wall and Gortat is a good pairing. The only and then Klay Thompson, he's like the latter game. One of the strategies that I see a lot of people do is that they'll make sure they get a lot of the early games in, especially the high scoring games, and then they always have exposure to the later games. You know, that way it creates a different type of variance, and it positions them to maybe move up the ladder, because you know most people, especially now that when the game's locked, you can't substitute out, especially on DraftKings. You can you know, you have to be careful as to who you're playing, because if that person is not going to play the 10:30 slate, then you know that's your butt right there. But guys, this is basically all of the lineups here that we have. I'm going to quickly scroll through some of these lineups on FanDuel. You got Frazier, Bledsoe, Matthews, Thompson, Barnes, Warren, Davis, Nance, Dwight Howard. You have Frazier, Russell, Thompson, Batum, Barnes, Warren, Davis, Millsap, Lynn. These are all really good teams too, mind you. And I don't know how long this video is, but I mean, you know, that was just about as much research that I did. I was just looking at all these numbers down here. I was looking at the players. I was looking at the position. I was looking at their home away splits. I was looking at their usage. I was looking at the defensive efficiency of the opposing team, and all these different things. And these are some, you know, some solid lineups. Honestly, if you look at it, these are some solid lineups. These are some lineups that you can put in cash games. You can even throw in some GPPs, and you know, you can see something come out of these. You know, there might be some players in here that might be slept on, but there's enough value in these lines where you can see, you know, the numbers do what they do. So, you know, if I didn't want to make Anthony Davis the focal point of my lineup, I could switch him over for Durant, and then it'll fill in the blank with somebody better. You see what I'm saying? So as you can see, we got Gortat, Durant. I mean, not Gortat, Durant. We have Gortat. We have Howard in the mix, and they will be sharing the majority share of all the games. So what I'm going to do, just to end everything here, I'm going to save all these lineups. Okay, and then I'm going to go to the lineups tab inside Daily Fantasy Nerd. Okay, so what you're seeing right now is the exposure that I have. So Harrison Barnes is 100% of my lineups. Anthony Davis is in 100% of my lineups, and Tim Frazier is in 100% of my lineups, right? So basically, that's considered my core play. Those are the guys I felt very strongly about. Okay, I do like T.J. Warren. He's an 80%. Thompson, Batum, Matthews. Now with Matthews, I may try to limit some of the exposure, maybe because he is an emotional play, but nonetheless, he's definitely one of the guys that I want. With John Wall is in there, Bledsoe, Nance, or Todd Williams, Wade. We talked about Wade, Millsap, Howard, Plumlee, Gilchrist, Lynn, Russell, Bogut. Okay, so Bogut, I don't like Bogut. Get him out of there. So what's going to end up happening is when I remove Bogut, is going to remove the lineups that have Bogut in it. Okay. All right. So instead of 48, instead of 50, I have 48 lineups. So these are the lineups that I can play. These are the lineups that I can do some damage to. So that's just something to think about. So yeah, that's what we have, y'all. That's what we have. So again, these are all the lineups that have been generated. And then what I do, I will export them to CSV and go from there. Okay. So in any case, I want to thank you guys very much for tuning in. If you have any questions, you can hit me up on Instagram at DFS5050. Just hit my DM on that, or you can check me out on Twitter at _Sean Black. For anyone that is an aspiring artist, check out my beats. If you're a rapper or a singer or whatever you are in the music business, if you're a manager that manages artists, check out my music page on my website, SeanBlack.com. DFS portfolio is coming real soon. I'm working with a team of DFS players and software engineers. We're creating a product where we can, based on historical stats and other factors, create projections that we can implement inside Daily Fantasy Nerd and really separate ourselves from everyone else. Okay. So, but this is one of my, the beat store that I have on my page. Definitely check it out. Everything is affordable. One more thing I want to show you guys is for those who have the upgraded version of this Daily Fantasy Nerd, I think it's the $34.99 version. You can upload your own projections. And what I did for this sake of the video, I kept the projections basic on the DFN projection, but I want to show you guys something here. I uploaded a projection for from DFS Army. You should check them out. They're really dope. I scraped the projections from the spreadsheet that they gave us for the team. And then I created it into a spreadsheet, a projections sheet in which I uploaded into Fantasy Nerd to see exactly how my lineups will weigh out if I used it. So I want to show you guys real quick what you can do with Daily Fantasy Nerd. You can change the weights. You can, focus on the last 5 games. You can focus on the floor. If you just really want to focus on cash, you can always focus on the floor of a player as opposed to the projections, those type of things. So I put in the projections, right? I got it at 100%, which is all DFS Army's projection. And I'm going to generate lineup. And the lineups may come out the same or they may come out differently. It might be weighed the same. It may be weighed differently. It just depends. But you'll see it as this thing loads up here. Just give it a minute. Because, it's a lot of information to filter through. especially with it being a lot of games there. Okay, so it basically stayed the same for the most part. Let's see here. Let's do this. Let's change the variance here, or let's randomize the lineups. We're gonna put that at 50%, and let's see what differences do we get with that. Okay, y'all saw that? We have Frazier, Joseph, Batum, Thompson, Gilchrist, Barnes, Davis, Green, Whiteside. Okay, and remember I played around with Whiteside's projections, so let me let me switch that out real quick. Let me not do that to myself, because then that'll just be trouble. Let's do this again. Okay, so the lineup generator gave us Russell, Frazier, Batum, Wade, Warren, Barnes, Davis, Green, and Zeller. That's still a good lineup. Cody Zeller's been getting a lot of minutes. You know, you can say he's more or less slept on. He is a value play. He does have some crazy upside if he gets the minutes. You know, so that's somebody that y'all can definitely look at. Let's scroll down. You know, Russell, Frazier, Thompson, Ginobili, Warren, Barnes, Davis, Green, Howard. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reset the lights, and let's see what Daily Fantasy Nerds projections give us based on their projections along with DFS Nerds algorithm. Let's see what we get. Okay. So based on this, on Daily Fantasy, DFS Army's projections, we have Rondo, Frazier, Thompson, Waiters, Durant, Jonathan Simmons, Anthony Davis, Paul Millsap, and Andrew Bogut. So that's what the optimizer is reaching out for. Let's unlike Davis, and let's see what happens if we do that without him. Let's see what kind of difference we will get from the optimizer along with DFS Army's projection. Okay, so we have Frazier, Conley, Ginobili, Thompson, Barnes, Durant, Davis, Kaminsky, Whiteside. You know, something to play around with. Even with the projections, guys, the one thing that I still do is I still go in and I go and like certain players. You know, if I feel strongly about a player, if I'm reading around and I'm hearing that, oh, you know, DeMar DeRozan is going to, you know, see X amount of upside, and I'm hearing that across the boards, I may take a consideration to him. But most importantly, you know, make sure that you have your own players that you like and everything like that, and you can build around from the players that you like. You know, for example, I was telling you guys about John Wall at home. You know, I'm going to look at John Wall. You know, I feel like he's in a favorable matchup. Or I could look at Curry. He's in a favorable matchup, right? And so I'm going to pick Wall. I'm going to lock him in. And then I'm going to build my lineup around John Wall. And this lineup optimizer is going to make sure that John Wall gets in there. And I will, you know, do what I need to do with him. So we got Wall, Frazier, Ginobili, Thompson, Barnes, Winslow, Porzingis, Davis, Whiteside, right? So again, you know, you can play around with this all you want, and it's just a beautiful thing to look at. Another thing that a lot of people don't realize is that they have this optimizer works for Yahoo Sports and Fantasy Ace as well as DraftKings, and they also cover NFL, NBA, and NHL. I probably will be doing a video on NFL because I haven't done one in a while. I've been doing my best to try to stay consistent with that. But that's just something for you guys to consider. I've been hearing good stuff about people killing it in the NHL the past 2-3 days. Missed that boat, but I will be back on it tonight. Don't know, don't know the players like that, but hey, definitely swing a couple of dollars into the NHL and see what kind of results we can get out of it. This is your boy Sean Black. Thank y'all so much for tuning in, and I will holler at y'all later. Remember, it's all about faith and it's all about skill. So have faith in what you do and build a skill set to keep winning.